Well, we're talking watches today. More specifically, this Spovan watch. That's right, Spovan. To be great. Spovan. Made in China. And it says it's 30 meters or 100 feet. Submersible in water, which is very cool. Now, why am I making this video? This is not a review, okay? I want to do a review on this watch, but to be honest, to do a review, at least how I would want to do a watch review, like I've done them in the past, is I want to get into details, show every single mode, talk about the modes, talk about maybe how to program it, because I know a lot of people, once they buy a product, they might reference a review of it to use it. I mean, you know, with a knife, you know how to use a knife, but like specifically with a watch, hey, I don't know how to program this, you're going to maybe refer to a review. That's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video, instead of a review, is, for me, it's kind of like an update. That's the best way I describe this to you, as an update, my experience with this watch, and the story as to why I picked this one over the billion, watches that are out there. Now this watch, as everyone can see clearly, is basically a G-Shock style watch, okay? It is a very, very similar design in all of its features, its overall look, the whole thing, okay? Now this is a G-Shock that I like very much. This G-Shock, the battery died. And although it's very easy to replace the battery in this, I just haven't gotten around to do so. Like many things in life, it just gets put to the side and forgotten about. After doing this video, I will, in fact, go get a battery soon for that. However, that got put to the side. I was kind of thinking about getting a new watch already. I had a viewer who told me all about this Spovan watch and, showed me they got theirs on Amazon. They sent me the link to Amazon. I was checking it out. They sold me on the idea of this watch because of one specific feature, which at the time when I was talking about it, seemed very, very cool. Okay, and that feature was a weather forecast. Okay, shows the temperature, also shows the predicted weather, which is very, very cool, right? Sounds cool. Plus, guess what the name turned out to be for this model? Come on, that's a no-brainer, right? So I had to try it out. So here it is. Now, I've been using this thing for like a month. I still have not figured out all of its features and functions. It's one of those things that's just overly complicated. Now, if you're using the features that are in this watch, I mean, really using all the features, I think it's a great watch, okay? However, from my experience thus far, there's such a thing as sometimes something being too complicated, for its own good. In other words, if you were using the 15, 20 functions in this watch all the time, this is the watch you need to get. However, I'm like most people, what am I really using my watch for? I got it because I wanted to see the time quickly. And a lot of people say watches in general are useless because we all have smartphones and they have the date and the time. And hey, even if you got a dumb phone, still has a date and the time in it and a stopwatch and all those other features, right? Well, maybe the smartphones do. But I actually like wearing a watch occasionally, just a quick glance. Maybe I don't want to take the extra 1 second to take the phone out of my pocket. So yeah, I'm still a watch guy. But this particular one appealed to me because of the temperature thing. Let me tell you a quick story. My father is obsessed with the weather. That's right, he is. And the reason he is because he's a dad being a dad. And he always will be a dad, and he always will be a husband. And, specifically like in the winter, all of a sudden he hears there's going to be some snow. He's got to call his kids, call his wife at work. Hey, honey, it's going to be really icy in the road. Just worrying for his family because he is a good father, okay? And that's something he just can't shut off. So he's been obsessed with weather for many years now, but especially, since me and my sister have been adults and driving ever since, especially, when we moved out and we started our own lives and stuff, he gave us calls, hey, snow's coming tonight, or be careful, it's gonna be really icy out there later, or the winds are picking up, stuff like that. So he's our personal weatherman, and I love him for it. Like I said, he's just looking out being a dad. But this winter has been so cold, so extra windy and snowy and just crappy that I too have been pretty obsessed with weather. And I've been checking pretty much daily on the computer to see the weather forecast and checking my phone and, okay, it's going to snow from this time to this time and this is the percentage of precipitation and blah, blah, blah. I've been really looking at it myself because I'm in the same boat now in that I'm worrying. I'm worrying about driving, I'm worried about, my wife and, so I've been thinking about the weather a lot myself. So the timing was perfect on this. When the viewer told me all about this, I said, wow, it's got a weather forecasting in there. I can see what time it is. Obviously I can see what time it is to watch. But I thought the extra feature of a weather forecast sounded awesome. So here we are a month later. How has it been working out for me? It's cool, but I just don't use it. I don't use it for a weather forecast. Let me show you really quick some of the features on here. I mean, like I said, this is not going to be a review, because if it was a review, I'd really want more details and show you all the functions and get into, you know, in depth and everything. I don't want to get into depth in this video. I just want to give you my general consensus of, you know, my usage so far on this. All right, so we got basically a G-Shock style watch. All right, it's got the Indiglo like most digital watches have, your date and your time and all that stuff, right? By the way, it keeps perfect time. Absolutely perfect time, as does the G-Shock when the battery works. All right. And by the way, the price on this is $50, which is about the same as a G-Shock. I mean, they start around, I guess, 40, and they work their way up according to, you know, how involved they are and what model and stuff like that. All right, but you're getting more features. If you got all these features in a G-Shock, it would cost a lot more. So it's like a cheaper version of this type of watch. But anyway, some of the other features, you have your alarm clock, so you can set a bunch of different alarm clocks if you wanted to. Your stopwatch, there's like 13 different stopwatch settings, you know, so you can have a bunch of different things going. More functional for people doing sports or exercise. The next feature is the timer. There's a countdown timer. I did actually use this for my own exercise. You set little 3 or 4 minute spurts, work real hard, you know, then you can take your break or whatever, and then set it again. So this is a functional timer for some people. Then you have the world clock. Now the world clock also came in handy for me in one particular situation about 2 weeks ago when I sent a message to someone who lives in the UK and I want to know what time it was. So I literally used the world watch. There's 21 different preset countries in here, all right, which is pretty cool. Now, we also have a barometer, okay? Now on the very top here, there's a bunch of different things going on, but if you look on the top, you can see the little cloud there in the sun. So it's showing that there's overcast right now. And there is in fact overcast outside, okay, which is nice. However, if you look at the temperature, it says it's 78 degrees. And I'm inside right now and it is not 78 degrees. So I'm still trying to figure out, after a month of flipping through the manual here, the instructions, if this thing has to be calibrated. Because I mean, that's not correct. That's not an accurate temperature in here. It's more like 71, okay? So then also you can switch over to the altimeter. This gives you your altitude and stuff on here. Now, by the way, the temperature can also be switched between Fahrenheit and Celsius. Okay, so if you use Celsius where you live, that's just an easy 2 second. You hold the button down for 2 seconds and it switches over. All right. But the one thing I want to show you, let me go back to the barometer. There is this bar here. Okay, see how there's a little block blinking there? Every few minutes, it shows another line of blocks. Okay, now I have to refer to the instructions here to give you a visual on what I'm about to say, otherwise you're not going to know what I'm talking about. This is your weather forecast. All right, so look, I'm looking at this thing so much it's falling apart on me. Staples are coming out. Come on, there it is. All right. So basically, you keep getting a row of these squares. Now, when the squares start getting increasingly, you know, more, so you start off with, like, say, 1 square, then 2, then 3, then instead of 4, you know, and so forth. That, obviously, you can see here, it says the weather will turn better. Okay, so when these climb and there's more of them, the weather's getting better. And by better, it basically means no rain, you know, no clouds, okay, just sunny. And then vice versa, when it starts going down to low, it has to do with the air pressure and all that kind of crap. And, you know, maybe there's some rain around the corner, so that the weather is turning bad. And then when it stays the same, it's obviously going to be consistent weather with what it was before. So that's your weather forecast on this watch. That's how you get your weather forecast, is by watching those little blocks. So according to this, go back to the barometer, okay, it looks like it's getting better. Start off with 1, then we got rows of 2 or 3, and it looks like 5, okay? So this is correct. This has been working. What I mean by that is that earlier, like maybe, I don't know, 2 hours ago or so, it was really cloudy. It wasn't raining or anything, but it was really cloudy, and the sun actually started to come up, and you started to see more sun. Now, it's 6:41 p.m., so the sun's going to start going down soon, but that was, in fact, a correct weather forecast, I suppose. But honestly, I just don't do it. I don't use it. I have, you know, a lot of sources on the internet and on my phone to get a weather forecast. So when I got this watch, I thought this is going to be great. I'm going to be looking at my watch, figuring out what the weather's going to be. And it wasn't realistic. It's just not realistic. You know, whether this is even accurate, it doesn't even matter because I'm not using it for that. At the end of the day, I strapped it on and wore it just like my G-Shock, and I looked at the time, I use the stopwatch or the timer once or twice. I use the world clock once or twice, and that was it. So all these extra doodads and stuff, I just didn't need it. And I think that happens a lot with people in general as you get these, more particularly digital watches and stuff. I mean, you know, some of the automatics and things, that's more about, you know, the people who appreciate the mechanics behind it and the craftsmanship and, you know, quality watches and stuff like that. But when you're talking about digital watches with lots of features, a lot of people get all those features, but I mean, some people use them, some people don't. I don't want to say that no one uses it, because obviously some people do. But generally speaking, from the people who I know personally in my life who have, you know, even G-Shocks, and they have all these extra functions, they're just not using them. That's all. I mean, it's cool that it's there, but at the end of the day, I got this because of the weather forecast, and I just have not been using it for that, and I honestly don't plan to. But I still like it. It's still a G-Shock rip-off, you know, type watch. It does keep great time, and that's the main purpose of this. So it's kind of a word of warning. You know, if you're looking to get a new watch, any type of watch, whatever, and you're like, wow, it's got this feature and that feature. It's like anything else. It's like your car. If you're looking to get a car and, oh, this car has all these extra features, and, you know, just ask yourself, is it worth it? Are you going to be using those features? You know, it can be related to knives. You know, people who have Swiss Army knives, you know, Victorinox, as well as many other brands. And you have that like super tinker in your pocket, and you use the blade on it, and that's pretty much it. You know, people ask me all the time, there's so many Victorinox models, which one should I get? And I say the same thing every single time. I say, get the model that you're going to use all the tools, or at least most of the tools in it. Because why carry around this big, fat, heavy thing with all these extra tools when you're only going to use 2 or 3 of them? If that. A lot of people just use the knife blade. They don't even use the other tools. You know what I mean? It's good to have options, but you don't always have to have them with you. Okay, that goes into a whole different philosophy of people who carry all this extra gear they don't need. When I first started getting into, you know, gear in general, you know, I had my pocket organizer, and I had, you know, 20 pens in there and 5 types of different paper and extra batteries and all this crap. And, you know, it's great to have, but then I soon realized I can put all that crap into a bag and keep it in my car. So I always have it with me wherever I am, but I'm not carrying it around in my pockets. You know, so I like the watch. I think it's a pretty cool watch, and I'm making this video for the people who've been patiently awaiting a review of this watch. You know, but I'm not using the features of it, so I'm probably just not going to do a review on it. Honestly, I can't give you a full, detailed, accurate review if I'm not using these features constantly. But I do like the watch. You know, for 50 bucks, you can get yourself just a G-Shock. If you're going to be using these features and you really want to use these, you know, the barometer and the altimeter and all that stuff, then yeah, this is the one to get, because it's going to be cheaper than another watch with that same functions. But if you're not using those functions, just get yourself a G-Shock, you know, or whatever. It doesn't have to be G-Shock. You can go to Walmart, get yourself a Timex for 20 bucks. You know, be just as happy. But, you know, as far as people who really want to know about this one specifically, all the features and functions I have used in this has been accurate, except for the actual temperature. The temperature reading on here I find is inaccurate. It's always 5 degrees more than it really is, inside or outside. So again, I don't know, because I'm still trying to figure out the damn instructions. But for now, I want to just give you a quick peek on this and tell you my experience with it so far. Came in a nice little fancy box in case you're giving it, you know, as a gift or whatever. You know, but the instructions, they're very complicated. But, you know, it is in plain English. It's just, it's a complicated watch. That's what it comes down to. So I can't fault the instructions for being complicated, because the watch is complicated. And to be honest, I just didn't need all these features and functions. So next time I get a watch, I'll get the watch that fits my needs best. And this is one of those examples where, you know, I just got a little extra and I didn't need it. I really didn't. You know, it's no different than, you know, the guy buying the expensive knife who's not really using it hard. It's capable of much, much more than they need it for, but they just got it because it was cooler, and they have the option to use that extra if they ever need to, you know? So it's one of those things. But, you know, lesson learned. It's still a cool watch. I'm not taking full advantage of it. So there you go. That's my video on the Spovan blade for anyone who is awaiting more information about this watch. So that's it, guys. I mean, if you're interested in this particular watch or any other from this brand, because this has been my only experience with Spovan branded watches, I highly recommend checking out a watch forum. You know, just like every other hobby, guns and knives and gear and whatever you're into, stamps, there is a forum out there somewhere where people who are hardcore fans of watches, you know, in this particular case, they know what the hell they're talking about, and they probably know all about this watch, and you guys need to do some more research on it before you're buying it, or, you know, other, models of this particular brand. All right, don't just take my word for it, but it's been working great. It keeps perfect time, absolutely perfect. It's just way more complicated than I really needed. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Take care.